Okay, so what I would like you to do today before we start our poetry unit is I would like you, before you start copying down the notes that are here, to come up with a few ideas and thoughts of your own on what you think poetry is. So answer the question, what is poetry? So you're going to pause my video and then you are going to go ahead and write down your own thoughts. Okay, now that you're back, I want you to come up with a more formal definition. So answer the question in a sentence, what is poetry? Pause and write that down. Now, the last thing that you need to do is you need to write down my definition of what is poetry. So, poetry is creative writing that is concentrated on imaginative awareness using descriptive language, which is chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning, sound, and rhythm. So, it's writing that is meant to be heard, not read. Okay, next. One of the most important things that you need to know is the meaning of the word stanza. So, what is a stanza? A stanza is the arrangement of a certain number of lines, typically 4 or more, often with a meter or rhyme scheme. So, it's how lines are arranged in a poem. It forms a division of poems. So when you see a space break, the lines that are together, those are called stanzas. And the best way to remember what is a stanza is the stanza is like the paragraphs in prose. So for your notes, I want you to write down the first bullet point on your notes and then combine the last 2 bullet points and write those in the second bullet point on your note sheet. Okay, what is rhyme scheme? So, rhyme scheme is the pattern of rhymes used in a poem. As a reader, you can mark this with the letters of the alphabet. So, a new rhyme sound brings in a new letter. So, my example here is my cat is nice, my cat is fat, my cat likes mice, I like my cat. So, my rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B because nice and mice rhyme and fat and cat rhyme. So, make sure you're writing all of this in your notes. You can pause the video at any time to write what you need to write. This isn't in your notes, but it's important to know in case you want to use it in your own poetry. What is repetition? So repetition is when the author chooses to repeat a word or a selection of words. So it gives those words special emphasis in the poem. So here is my example. Rain, cry from the sky, tears from clouds, rain, dropping, dropping, dropping down. So, for whatever reason, the author has chosen to repeat these words so that you get the emphasis. What is imagery? Imagery is descriptive writing that appeals to one or more of the senses. And the next bullet point is your senses, taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound. So my example here is the pumpkin pie candle glowed as it warmed the house and filled the air with the smells of fall. So you'll notice on your notes that I bolded glowed, warmed, and the smell of fall because all of those appeal to your senses. The next note, number 5, is what is figurative language? So, figurative language is words used in an imaginative way to communicate meaning beyond their strict definitions. So, that's like when you're using a simile or a metaphor to give effect. And it creates the visual image in the mind of the reader or listener. So, it allows you to picture what is going on. There's many different types of figurative language, and our first example is alliteration. So alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds at the beginning of words. So it has to be at least 2, and they have to be close together. So it gives the words a musical quality to the ear of the listener or reader. The most common example of that is Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. And I have another example that is much better and much more detailed for us to watch now.
I can assure you I mean you no harm.
Who are you?
Who? Who is but the form following the function of what, and what I am is a man in a mask.
Oh, I can see that.
Of course you can. I'm not questioning your powers of observation. I'm merely remarking upon the paradox of asking a masked man who he is.
Oh, right.
But on this most auspicious of nights, permit me then, in lieu of the more commonplace sobriquet, to suggest the character of this dramatis persona. Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and voracious violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
Are you like a crazy person?
Okay, so you can see here that, don't mind my ads, you can see here that V is the sound that keeps being repeated. So what I want you to do is I want you to try and write your own example. So you're using consonants, not vowels. That's what you use for alliteration. Okay, the next one that I have to show you is assonance. So that is the repetition of initial or similar vowel sounds in neighboring words. Meaning, our example is rockin' robin. My video wasn't working, so let's see if it will. It won't. So I'm going to tell you that the rockin' robin, that O sound, that's what the assonance is. And later on in the unit, we're going to listen to an Eminem song, actually. Eminem has a lot of assonance in his songs. In fact, his song Lose Yourself has a pattern throughout. There's tons and tons and tons of it. So that would be the A, E, I, O, U sounds. So I want you to do your best to write an example now. If you can't, that's okay, because I know you weren't able to see the video, and hopefully I'll get one for you another time. Next, we have onomatopoeia. So that is the use of words that imitate the sounds they represent, like buzz, crunch, boom, and swish. So that's what you need to write in your bullets. And the example is, the crack of lightning kept me awake all last night. So my crack is the onomatopoeia. Now I'd like you to come up with your own example. Okay, now we're on to similes. So a simile is comparing two unlike things using like or as. So my two examples here are, I am as busy as a bee, and he runs like a cheetah. So I want you to write down the two things that are being compared in your notes, and then I want you to come up with your own simile and then write down the two things that are being compared in your simile. Now we have metaphor. So we have metaphor is a comparison of two unlike things without using like or as. So here are my examples. He is a walking encyclopedia. He is a snail. Her stomach was a bottomless pit. So you can see that I have the examples on the notes as well. And I want you to write your own metaphors. So there is two that have been started for you, and I want you to come up with one all by yourself. Next, we have hyperbole. So a hyperbole is a deliberate exaggeration. This is when you are exaggerating, going way out there on purpose. So examples. I'm so hungry I could eat a house. My heart beats 1,000,000 times when I see you, and I nearly died laughing. None of these things are actually going to happen, so it's a bit of an exaggeration to say them, which makes them a hyperbole. So I'm going to play us a video example here.
I have died every day waiting for you. Darling, don't be afraid. I have loved you for a
Okay. Next, we have personification. So, personification is giving human qualities, feelings, actions, or characteristics to non human things. So, the house called my name, the summer breeze hugged me, or the wind whispered our names. Obviously, calling somebody's name, hugging somebody, or whispering names is a human quality and not something that a house or the breeze or the wind can do. So, what I want you to do is choose one of the examples, and then I want you to answer the human quality, which I kind of just gave you. So, from what you have above, what's the object and what's the human quality? And then next, you have to write your own. When you're writing poetry, there's some things that you want to keep in mind. So this one's a little bit hard to see, but adjectives. Adjectives are our describing words, words that describe nouns. So I have whispering girl, slithering snake, and fluttering leaves. So those are words that are describing the nouns girl, snake, and leaves. Katie picked her nose multiple times in class and ate what she picked. That's on our note sheet. And Hector rode around Manchester on a huge pink pony, yelling, "Gitchy, gitchy, yeah, yeah, yeah." Okay. These adjectives, picking your nose multiple times, eating 1,000 spicy chicken wings, and a huge pink pony, those are all describing words that make our poetry more visual and more vivid. So I want you to write a sentence that contains at least one adjective. Next, we're on to vivid verbs. So we're specifically choosing action words. So instead of walking, you might say ambled, hopped, skipped, trudged, scrambled. So they're all synonyms, but they create a better picture than just saying walking. And the example that we have on our notes here is slithered, zipped, trudges, waited, and scrunch. So I want you to write a sentence about somebody walking without using the word walk in your notes. And then we will be all done. So now, hopefully, you've written down everything. If you need to go back to any part of my presentation, you can. And you'll have this for the future so we can get started on our poetry unit. Okay, bye!